Alright, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be about these knives, and if you like really budget-friendly knives or are looking for a travel knife, then this might be a great video for you. So speaking of travel, I'm actually making this video while traveling, so it's going to be a voiceover showing me using the knives and then some of the features of the knives. And the reason I got these knives is because I was on vacation and needed to have a knife while to use while on vacation, especially because I was going to be hiking and things like that a lot. And my wife and I like to stay in Airbnbs where we can cook some of our own food rather than having to go out to eat all the time and things like that. So as you can see, it's nice to have a knife that you can, actually cut with. And a lot of times Airbnbs don't have the greatest kitchen knives, so sometimes a pocket knife works better. But I went to we went to Walmart to get supplies, and I saw these Ozark trail knives. So I got two different Ozark trail knives. One, which I was just using in the video, is what I'll call the flipper, and then I also got one that I'll call the lockback. And these knives were both under $5 before taxes and such, about $5 with taxes. So extremely budget friendly, to the point where you could get it just for on travel and then leave it where you were if you are flying and can't take it on the plane, or you just use it and are done with it. Not that I hopefully I'll be able to take these and ship them to me. And here is the lockback, but it is a possibility that you could leave them at an Airbnb or something like that in such a low price range as $5 each. And I wanted to make the video on these knives because, to be honest, I was just extremely impressed with them. Usually, when you get one of these Ozark Trails knives from Walmart, you don't know, what it's going to be. I have had some before that were also pretty good values, but with these, I've been really impressed with the value, and so I wanted to, make a video and show these off here. So without further ado, I'll show you the knives themselves, talk about some of the features and the quality, and then give you my final thoughts. So starting with the lockback, this is a traditional styled but really a modern lockback, similar to something like a Buck 110 or something like that. It has imitation stag handles, and the backside does have not the best fitting and some cracks and stuff like that, but overall I think it looks pretty good for $5. The bolsters are made to look as if they were brass. It has the classic grind with some swedging, and it has a lockback. Now the second one that I'm referring to as the flipper is a modern styled knife. It has a really classic drop point style blade with some swedging. It does have a pocket clip and can be opened with both the flipper and a thumb stud. So it's definitely a modern styled knife. It has a green handle that looks kind of tannish here, but it's almost rubberized and feels pretty good in the hand actually. So overall, kind of a good looking knife for $5. Now, as for the action on the lockback, I was really impressed. You can actually open this one-handed really easily. If you just put some pressure into that nail nick, you can open it, and then you can close it with one hand by pushing it closed with your finger. You can also open it by dropping it, the classic drop, and then you can drop the blade also. So it's really smooth. It does have Teflon washers, so not high-end washers, but apparently they work well because it's very smooth. And moving on to the flipper, this one was a real shock to me. So you can see it flips really well in both a light switch and a push button style, and just drops closed. Really nice snappy action, pretty well done to tent. You can use the thumb stud also, and just really nice action. I mean, surprisingly nice action. And the reason for that is because this knife actually is a ball bearing pivot. So I'll show you here. It actually has bronze washers with ball bearings. It said so in the package. It was hard for me to believe, but it definitely does, and it was a really big shock to me, and it really makes it have pretty nice action and just incredible for $5. Now, the centering on the lockback is not perfect. It's pretty close to the pile side. It doesn't rub on its own, but you can push it over, so definitely not perfect, but not too bad. Whereas the centering on the flipper is actually pretty good. It's not perfect, it's not 100% dead center, but it is pretty much, in the center. Can't really be pushed side to side like the Lockback, and just, is actually pretty well done. Now, even though the Lockback has some side-to-side play when closed, it's actually really solid when open. No side-to-side play even when unlocked, and definitely no forward and back play. So really a solid lock on the Lockback. And moving on to the flipper, actually the same deal. So it locks up pretty far across, I'd say like 70%, something like that. But no play at all, no forward and back, no really even slop, and no side-to-side even when unlocked. Now, one downside to the flipper is that the clip is tip down only, right hand only. Now, I'm right-handed, but I do prefer tip up. That said, I actually really like the ergonomics of both of these. I'm just showing the flipper here, but it feels really good in pretty much every grip. It has a little guard area there with the flipper and then a little cutout for your index finger, but it feels pretty good in the hand, and so does the Lockback. So just some concluding thoughts here. I'm really just impressed by the quality of these knives for the price. I did message Gerard Nielsen, Outpost 76, and he said that someone did test them and they're only like 2 CR13 or 3 CR13. So super low end steel, only in the low 50s of hardness. They're not going to hold an edge well, but that's kind of to be expected for this price. They worked well for me on my trip, but they're not going to hold an edge for very long. But the construction is just really amazing for $5, and they're great travel knives because they're available. You can get them at Walmart's, and there's Walmart's pretty much everywhere, and they're low enough price that if you can't take it back with you or something like that, you don't have to worry about it too much. I thankfully was able to ship these to my sister as a gift, but you wouldn't have to worry about it. It's just amazing the quality for the price of construction, although I'm not sure it's a great thing for the market. It's kind of scary that they're able to get this quality. But if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also check out my social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Knife Thoughts, and my website knifethoughts.com. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.